Welcome back to End is the Future, a podcast that brings together great minds to address the opportunities and challenges of making businesses both sustainable and profitable. I am Ilham Kadri, and I'm delighted to be your host today. If you are as passionate about sustainable business as I am, let's explore how End is the Future together. Today, I'm so happy to be speaking with internationally acclaimed artist Claudy Jongstra, who uses natural materials and natural dyes for self-harvested plants to create beautiful fabrics and artworks that connects people to the earth. Claudy's fabrics have been used by some of the most well-known designers, such as Lacroix and Donna, Karan, and they were even worn by the Jedi in Star Wars Episode 1. And her work has been included in collections at major museums like the Rijksmuseum, the Victoria and Albert Museum, the Museum of Modern Art, and more. I truly believe that businesses can learn so much from the arts. Claudy, you are my very first artist guest in this podcast, which I launched few months ago to speak about the end. A&D is the future and how and can be powerful. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm also very excited that we have this incredible podcast. Thank you also.
So as you already know, Claudy, I'm already a huge fan. We had a conversation together. I looked up your work and your story, and your work is absolutely beautiful. Not only the colors, they just stop you in your tracks because they are so vibrant, so incredible. I grew up in Morocco, so colors for me are so important in my life. And we'll talk about your art, of course. But first, I wanted to get to know a bit more of Claudy, to ask you about your upbringing in the Netherlands and what sparks your interest in color and nature and art.
I was trained as a fashion designer in Utrecht, and when I graduated, I tried to design my own collection, a very small collection, and but it was very difficult because also at that time we're speaking about the late 90s. Then, the fashion industry was already, going a bit over the hills, like fast fashion was everywhere. So if you are a designer of a small collection, you have to be part of that system. So very soon I realized it was not possible. So I tried to work in the industry for 4 years. I explicitly say I tried to work because there is no slowness, I can say, allowed in the industry, because at the end we had to design like 8 collections a year. So every month producing so much. And I was questioning myself, what am I doing? Is this part of creating? And also seeing and confronting all the materials, placed on the market, all these fabric fairs, and it was so much. I mean, I think it was too much. And then I was having very second thoughts about is this something I want to commit myself to?
Yeah.
At that point, I saw an exhibition in a museum in the Netherlands. It was about wool, and I saw this incredible ancient yurt from Mongolia, and I had never seen something like that in my life, and I was blown away. And I found it incredible that people have and still do live in these woolen shelters, nomadic tribes. They just roll it and pack it, and then you go from one place to the other. It keeps you warm, and I realized many cultures have had a lot of very positive experience with this natural material. And I stopped that fashion career, and then I committed myself completely to the world of wool. That was that was for me the moment I saw it, and I knew this is something so special.
This is it.
Yeah, this is it.
And I remember you once said that your teachers discouraged you, right, Claudia, from
Yes.
creating arts, and you didn't listen. I'm so glad you didn't, by the way. Now you are famous. I mean, no regrets on fashion. I mean, you are doing something else, and you are still connected probably to this. How does it feel?
Yeah, I think it can have a big impact on a person when people say, I mean, when people discourage you. I think when there is a potential and you see a sparkling in an individual, I think you should immediately stimulate that. And
Yeah.
even if you have any doubts, or I think it's very important that people experience processes, and the end result, I think, is not relevant. I think the process of whatever people are doing is so interesting. In processes, you have that's a learning path, and I think you come across so many challenges. You learn a lot about yourself, and it's not about success or winning or succeeding. It is about enduring and confronting and having patience and reflection and growing and evolving. I think that's more interesting.
Yeah, what's a leadership lesson? I like it. I always say I mostly focus on my journey rather than the
Yeah.
destination, and there are lots of learning. It's impressive is that, I mean, what is impressive is that you are truly creating that sustainable arts. All your materials come from the sheep on your own farm, and the colors are created from plants that you've grown yourself. I know you are engaging with farmers. Can you tell us more about the farm, the materials you collect from it?
Yeah, so working with wool, I felt it as a need to be around the sheep, to see them, to study their behavior. This specific herd, it is of a very ancient breed, the oldest of Northern Europe. And what they actually do is they maintain landscape. So it's a very ecological way to maintain the land. And so the herd is amazing, and the quality of the wool, because we have they graze on and live in a natural reserve, so they have no transport, they have no stress. That immediately reflects back to the quality of the wool. So we see a lot of conditions around systems have impact on qualities, and this is one of it. And after a long time working with the wool, there was a second moment in my life where something very special happened, and it was the moment I experienced natural colors from plants or roots or flowers or leaves or barks. And I have yeah, by coincidence I discovered them, and then for me there was a world opening up. I never saw so vibrant and even glowing colors. I mean, you don't see them in your natural environment anymore. All colors we see are being made chemically, and there is a completely different language in that. Natural colors coming from plants, they have a lot of layers. They're not one-dimensional. So sometimes you see different shades, and they always connect to their environment. Like a natural bouquet, flowers in a space, they always go with the environment. They're never there, very, they're modest. So
Yeah.
once I got a very interesting compliment from an architect from New York. He said, "Your work has no ego." And I think that's because the materials and the source I work and come from is nature, and nature has no ego.
Yeah, wow. Another leadership lesson. There are a few already. Wow. Since the beginning, no ego. And obviously, in leadership, and I'm sure it resonates with the people in the audience here. Yeah, I watched one of your YouTube videos of you making the natural dye, and it's just amazing. Colors incredible. And I know we already talked about this. It reminds me so much the beautiful colors you would see in the souk, which means market in Morocco, where I grew up. But also there are special places in few parts of Morocco, like Fez, Marrakesh, where they produce dyes. I don't think they produce them as sustainable as you do. And you talk a lot about how important color is in connecting us to our past, to nature, to each other. And one thing that I found so interesting is that you are actually using the same natural pigment that the great Dutch masters used For instance, that distinctive, vibrant, deep blue color, beautiful one that you can see in the painting of Vermeer and Van Gogh comes from, those natural dyes, which is the natural dye plants. And that's what provides color to your own art, right? Can you tell us what does it mean to you to be using the same natural colors of the great Dutch artist?
It's I can be open about it, but it's like when you work with these manuscripts coming from even before the 15th century, it's like the holy grail. If you reveal these manuscripts, and we work together with a lot of scientists from different universities, together, if you are in the process of these historical reconstructions, there is so much to learn about also a community living. I mean, in these recipes, descriptions of how they define time processes, they will not say stir in a pot for 15 minutes. They would say 3 times a paternoster, for example, like a prayer, which already emphasis a lot on the way that people were connected to what they were doing during these alchemistic processes. It was not something they did on the side. It was something really, with dedication and care, with a lot of caution. And it was very often like a ritual. And also interesting in these recipes, you see a lot of different ingredients coming from a lot of craftsmen. So there was a lot of reuse of waste materials. There was no waste in the 15th, 16th, 17th century. Everything was valuable. So I think for me, it's also very learnful to see how people were so creative in using ashes from a wood oven in a natural dye, or even sourdough or waste from beer brewers, all was being used. And people would spend their whole life just skilling themselves in, a specialism. They were so good in making these colors. And I think, you can obviously see that in the paintings. They have I think they have an everlasting quality. The quality is amazing, and that's also sustainability. I mean, they still blow you away.
Yeah, they are last longing, right?
Yes.
You've often said that, and you told me that's the heritage of natural dye making, which frankly I ignored till I talked to you and did some research later, has really declined to the point that maybe only a few people in the world, in the humanity, right? In human, on Earth, still know how to do it. So this requires a lot of research. What was it like for you to reconnect with that heritage and bring it back, trying to bring it back to life?
I think it's so beautiful to have a connection with also with this incredible indigenous knowledge. I mean, this is for me like a world connector. When you speak to people, for example, we did a project in Amsterdam in the southeast with a group of women with very different backgrounds, very multicultural backgrounds. From Northern Africa, but also from Syria. I mean, when you speak about plant-based dyes, they immediately know, they reconnect again, and they revalue again, because through natural colors and textiles, your identity can be expressed. And if you put this into something, in a condition where it can really evolve and it can grow, I think that's for a lot of people very valuable. But it's very often that people do not know of it, have an unawareness of it, because, I mean, since the Industrial Revolution, plant-based dyes have not been on the radar, and it's also not in any political dialogue. I think it should, because if you see what we do for example, with farmers projects in the Netherlands, but also in Germany and now in Spain, where there's a lot of potential also for farmers to look to alternatives and to really change the landscape literally via diversity. I think it can have a huge impact. I mean, impact for change is very nearby, but I think the young generation I mean, they still know, maybe unconsciously, and saw it from their grandparents, that they did these processes of sewing, of making colors,
Mm.
of preparing food, taking the time for it, because the time-consuming processes. I mean, after this generation, I think that's
Mm.
really this is gone.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the dye that was once obtained from the wild or plants is now created by synthetic products. And I'm a chemist, so we are Solvay is a chemical company, but we are trying more and more to use circularity and be inspired by nature. You're right. I mean, in the 17th century, there was no waste. I grew up in a country with a grandma who told me that we didn't have a luxury to waste. And
Yeah.
as you've said, synthetic dyes in fabrics can pollute the environment. And this gets us to the realm of fast fashion and the importance of creating sustainable fabrics, reducing the carbon footprints of the fashion industry. What are your thoughts on how the fashion industry can become more sustainable? And speaking of fashion, I would like to make a clin d'oeil, blink of an eye. I'm sure everyone watched Star Wars Episode 1. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Naboo, Anakin. I mean, all these guys are really well known. What was the big moment for you having created the Jedi costumes?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I learned a lot from my experience becoming also an entrepreneur. And I, as an artist, it's fantastic to if you can live, from your art. And even now we have the studio. We have 20 people working in the studio and on the farm, and it's always, you're always looking for interesting prospects. And this was in the beginning of my career when I went to England, to London, because there is a big value. There's a large value for wool, and also for color palettes and vibrancy in textures. And I showed my work in an office, and somebody passed that office and looked inside and saw my materials, and that was the designer of the costumes of Star Wars. So it was being on the right spot, in the right moment, on the right place, with also something. Yes, she found it. It was so rudimentaire, original. And I had many of these moments, but the generosity of people always helped me a lot. And I think that's very important. And we try to do this also in our studio. We have a school now, a school for arts and crafts, connected to agriculture. We try also for young students to share our networks, to show them, and to also to coach them in their philosophy. I think that's very important.
Yeah. Coaching, educating, connecting people. I mean, wow. Let's talk now about circularity. We are just learning to unlearn in the chemical industry and relearn, and how we can use circularity as a way, because we've been growing in a very linear world, right? Specifically as engineers and as scientists, and learning circularity is frankly a big game changer for us. I always say, when you reuse a waste, it's not a waste anymore. I know you are talking about circularity, taking many waste material from farmers, from beer brewers, and using them to create your dyes. Can you tell us more about how you create the ecosystem, which we can learn from it, how it can be sustainable as an ecosystem? Please.
Yes, I think it very often starts with um, being part of, even if it's once in your lifetime, being part of a process of making, in which all ingredients are in a very organic way connected to each other. And you can find that in making the natural dyes, because you have to work on the farm, you have to harvest, you have to distillate the pigments from the plants, you have to forage and go out and see your neighbors, and you have to experiment, and then at the end you have also result in the vibrancy of the color palettes. So what we very often do is in education, people can be part of this process of making. If you literally feel from seed to fiber, then you feel the necessity of that processes are being reconnected again. I think because of the whole world as being segregated, all elements and satellite projects are developing itself, on their own entity. I think it's very important even to experience once the the natural connections, and this is where we have a big emphasis on. And in our school, people from business schools come. I mean, different backgrounds, all different types of people, feeling somehow now the urge to reconnect, of course. But if you literally are part of a holistic chain in making, I think then you can also you have then the opportunity to change and also to make decisions in a different way, because you have to do it one time for yourself, experiencing this holistic path, and I think then you can have a very fruitful decision making.
Yeah, no, I love it. And Claudy, one of the objectives for this podcast is about how businesses can become both sustainable and profitable. Because people, they always put this in opposition. You have to be green, sustainable, no profit. Therefore, the problem is that it doesn't last long. And then profitability is pushed very often against sustainability. And I think, Claudy, that you provide a great example. You just talked about your entrepreneurship and how you can live with it, but also build an ecosystem. So obviously your art produces revenues, but your revenue model is a bit different from what we are used to. Including protecting the environments and bringing the people in touch with nature to also create that win-win and make that ecosystem long-lasting. What are the big hurdles, but also can you tell us more about the big learning lessons which can inspire us in traditional businesses?
Yeah, for me, it's also still a long way to learn from that, because we discovered when we produced recently, we had the largest crop the Netherlands had experienced in the last 100 years of the European indigo. So we had that this season, and then you process that European indigo from the plant, and then you have a color. You think, oh, this is Vermeer standing up again. And then you have to find the market, but the market is still very used to this linear economical process and infrastructure. So people immediately compare the price of the pigment to to this parallel to for example, because there is no competition, but they compare it to a synthetic dye, and there I think there's for me a lot to learn, because the value of the pigment is not only what does it cost, but also there is transferring knowledge, the vitality of the soil, all the efforts of the farmers, diversity. There is more in the pigment, and the revenues are in a different value system. I think this is a very important dialogue we have to start with the market, and if the fashion market is ready for that, I think then we have also for farmers alternative. I think a very good example at the moment is Patagonia. I think 90% of the profit now is going to ecosystem changing innovations, and I think the money is earned somewhere else. But this is fantastic, and then you can also invest. Because investing in the future is investing in the ecosystem. So I think we hope for finding a partner in fashion or interior to work with these natural pigments, and then that they are not being seen as a very expensive product, because this is the reason why they are gone, because you cannot digest these pigments quickly. It's not about the linear time frame. It's about the not horizontal, but it's the vertical time frame where in that context you should see these pigments. So there is a new dialogue. I think we have to start with each other.
Yeah, and I would like you probably to talk a bit more about the community aspects of the work, which was just, intriguing and fascinating to me, because on your farm, you really have a great community, not only of interns, students and artists, but also farmers. It has actually grown into a movement. And And I know you are very active in education, Claudy, which it connects us as well. As my door exits from poverty was education, right, in my own life, and particularly for you in a school in the northern parts of the Netherlands, where you are helping to change the curricula. Can you tell us more about your connection with education?
Yes, we have developed a different curriculum in which all these ingredients are part of, and you can adjust it tailor-made to any group who is coming to us. But the impact of this education, this is that people revalue. I call it makers activism, especially I think also in Belgium and in the Netherlands. I mean, 80% of all young people is being highly educated. So we don't have any makers anymore, and the makers want to be, they also want to go to university. But I believe a lot in the quality of making, because in making you find identity, respect. You see immediate result, craftsmanship. That's so valuable for a society, I think, because a beautiful wooden sculpture. I mean, aesthetics is something that's, I think, is very important also to experience everybody. And I think it's very easily, you can very easily wake that up, because we have so many young people coming from different backgrounds, or socially, very how do you say, vulnerable. But if they come to us and they experience nature, I mean, there are healing qualities. Last year we developed a beautiful project for we call it newcomers, immigrants, connecting them also to indigenous knowledge that a lot of them still know. And if you take them so seriously, and if you believe in that quality of making, then you see something different happens, and the stories are coming. The traumas are being they speak about what happened to them, and then you see a lot of that. It has a lot of impact. And working in a garden, you have different conversations. It's in a very informal setting. People are very open. They feel safe. So a lot is happening there. And do we value this? I think at the end, yes, because this has a big impact also on your individuality.
Yeah, what's an example? And it resonates, I'm sure, a lot with all of us when we are facing an unbearable war raging in Europe. We need to help. You said a lot, Claudy, and I think business leaders like us can learn a lot from art. You are a woman, an artist, an entrepreneur, an employer, an inspiration, and definitely a leader and a role model for many, and for us, definitely. How has your work evolved over your career? And if you could share with us some of your secrets, wins and sobering moments, right, to help our youth listening to you.
Yeah, I think very important. When I reflect back, I see that I was very loyal to my early principles. And even when there was no perspective, when nobody believed in wool in the beginning, I kept on, committing myself to something I found truly precious. And because I had so much respect for that material and also for what it meant, I needed to, and because I didn't sell it to anyone, to just anyone walking by, but always finding the connection. Architects I admired, fashion designers. I thought, okay, when it's in your hands, the creation will be, honorable. So I was always very loyal to the material and to the quality. And also very often I didn't exactly know where I was going, but I followed it. And when you are back later in 2-3 years, you think, oh yeah, now I understand why. But it's very often difficult to explain to people around you, because you yourself only know that you have to do it, and you have to stick loyal and to be patient also. That's something I have to learn too, because I'm very impatient. And when I feel, there is a bit of pressure, also losing so much knowledge and beauty, I think, for me, this is the moment also to really, work with people would take 5 steps ahead and really make impact.
Yeah, wow. Determination and the beliefs are important.
Yes.
I can continue this conversation for long, but let me finish with the following. We know you were and you have been highly influenced by the great Dutch artists. Do you have any other artistic role models in your life? And if you had to choose one of your works of art as your favorite, if there is one favorite, sometimes it's difficult. It's like the kids. What would it be and why?
Yeah, an incredible inspirator for me was Magdalena Abakanowicz. She was from Poland. I saw textile in a sculpture that embodied for me an incredible artist, because she made it's called abacans. It was for her also how the impact of war on it was during World War One had on people. And these sculptures, when you see them, I mean, you immediately feel what people endure when they are in a war situation. And it was so that struck me so intensely, because the textile has is such a powerful medium. And so I knew that being a fiber artist, I mean, for a long time, I mean, it has not always had the value I think it deserved. But Magdalena for me was an example, a woman in that period, you know, needed to make, these sculptures because it was healing. It was for her, how do you deal with trauma, and very impactful. And my one of my most favorite works is Fields of Transformation, and that's in the University Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. It's a triptych, and the largest piece is 20 meters by 6, triple. So it has huge impact. You can imagine space. It's a library for students. So it's we get a lot of also emails and comments that people experience the space as being very warm, and it opens up, a whole new world also in the tactility. And you can imagine it's very warm, and it brings up also curiosity, because immediately you do not know what it is. What you're looking at is the fresco or is the painting. It's painted with fibers, you can say, and due to the scale, you can it has huge impact on that environment.
Yeah, wow! And what's magic word, transformation? The industry, the chemical industry, our industry is engaging into one of its deepest transformation ever. So thank you for finishing with this. And you mentioned curiosity as well, which is part of us as a scientist. Thank you so much for joining us today, Claudy. There is so much actually business can learn from you on sustainability, circularity, on the crucial connection to the earth, nature, but also between human being, and on creating beauty, to simply beauty. And you also taught us to learn from our past to build a better future. This was truly a fascinating discussion. Thank you so much. You are an inspiration. Thank you for inspiring us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. For more information or to listen to other episodes, visit our website. And if you like these podcasts, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, be safe.